Hello and welcome to the Mariana Dalto Show, the podcast where small business owners share their stories, insights, and strategies for success. I'm your host, Mariana Dalto, and our guest today is Carrolee Drummonds. She is an award-winning speaker, writer, a content marketing consultant. She helps experts and consultants become magnets to their ideal clients using the power of other people's podcasts. Welcome, Carrolee, to the show.
Thank you so much, Mariana, for having me today. Super excited for this conversation.
Me too. I love podcasting, so this is gonna be a good show for sure. So tell us a little about your background, share about your story, and what inspired you to pursue your career in branding, marketing, and the journey that led you to what you have today.
Well, the biggest thing is my heritage. So I'm originally from Jamaica. I was born there, raised there a bit. And the largest part of my childhood that I can remember, it's all about stories. We would sit around because there wasn't really TV, and we had a TV, but it's two channels. So to entertain yourself and your family, you sat around and you told stories all the time. And I just remembered being so enamored by my older relatives who would just like captivate the entire room, telling these stories. Sometimes they were scary stories, what we call duppy stories, which were not my favorite. In the how scared you get. But from there, it just has been a huge part of my life. When I moved to the States, one of the ways I learned the American dialect was through listening to stories, whether that was movies, music, anything a part of the culture that was kind of telling the story of America. I was just like eating it all up. So much so that I ended up actually majoring in communications media in college because I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to help other people tell stories. I graduated in the middle of the recession though, so I had to pivot, find a quote unquote adult job.
Yeah.
I worked in project management and healthcare, the complete opposite of anything creative, but I was doing graphic design on the side. And so really my career was this like straight shoot of very corporate sounding positions and working my way up in sales and all the things while also still being a graphic designer. I started writing poetry, started performing poetry. So I had these two seemingly non-related things happening in my life for over 10
Well,
years.
you needed to use your creative side, right?
Somewhere, right? Exactly. And so I eventually thank the Lord was able to merge it once a few of my supervisors realized like, okay, wait, you can do graphic design? Hold on, let's pull that in. Oh, you're managing social media for other people outside. Hey, why don't you manage our social media internally? And so I just started to build that out. And so when I left corporate America, I really wanted to figure out a way to do parts of the jobs that I actually loved full time. And I went straight into full time freelancing as a marketer and eventually started pulling other consultants, other freelancers in to do bigger jobs. And that parlayed itself into a full time agency where I eventually had an in house team of developers and graphic designers and copywriters and all of those things. And as I was doing that, like the dream coming true, um, I was miserable.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was like golden handcuffs, and it took me a really long time to make the final decision that felt so selfish, but it saved my life. And I'm not being, exaggerative in that respect. I was getting heart palpitations and panic attacks almost every single day. It was getting really bad. I was losing a lot of weight. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't working out. And I actually got the shock of my life. I'm pretty skinny. I'm walking around thinking like all is well. And I find out that I'm pre-diabetic
Mm,
because of the stress and because of not
mm.
taking care of myself and all of the things. And I had a decision to make. You keep going down what you
Oh,
say was your dream, or you have to pivot and do
yeah.
something else. And so I unfortunately had to let go of my entire team, um, except for one person who was like my right and left hand. So he's still around. And I had to do some soul searching after, selling my clients and moving them into another agency that I partnered with. Uh, what do I actually want to do?
Mm.
And so I went right back into, okay, I'm a storyteller. Hence the whole thing I just told my whole thing in a story.
Yeah.
It's thinking about how can I help other people tell their stories that's actually going to be meaningful to their bottom line and not just a nice to have in their business. And so I
Hmm.
spent 3 months, 90 days or so, asking business owners, hey, what is your actual pain point? Not what I think it is, not what I would want it to be. What do you actually need in your business to get to the goals that you have? And I kept hearing the same things over and over. We want a way to get more qualified leads, not just a whole bunch of people in, but folks that can pay us what we want, right? The rate that we're charging. And then lastly, they wanted a way to get out there more. They wanted a way to have people know that they exist. And not only that, but know what they're capable of doing, that they're a solution. And I thought about the fact that I've been, in the podcasting world for years and how much it has gifted me in connections, in leads, and in a way for me to actually sharpen my messaging because you have to be clear when you come on these things. I mean, confusion does not help. And that's what I landed on. It's like I want to do this for other people. So that's how I landed here from all of those things. I So it's a lot more complicated and ridiculous story, but condensed into a short time. That is my background.
Okay, so then, so you went from corporate to working for an agency, had a team, and then decided to build your new business related on podcasting to help business owners and get leads. So then did you pivot a little bit the approach from a communication standpoint? Because before you were helping companies with social media and everything, and now, so you were doing a lot of work, marketing work from an omni-channel standpoint. And then you change a little bit the landscape on how you're, or how are you still helping them?
So I
How do they
changed,
leverage in the podcast with
yeah,
that?
I changed the approach, but it's still very much an omni-channel
Okay.
end, right? Because as you know, because you're a podcast host, and I've watched your stuff. I also see what you do with the
I'm everywhere,
backers.
everywhere.
Yes. So it's not just the one episode,
Okay,
right?
good.
It's thinking about, okay, coming on here, we're going to get into talking about podcasts and podcast guesting. We're going to get talking about eventually about the guide that I have. That guide is the lead magnet. And if someone's interested in learning more about podcast guesting, even if they don't want to necessarily connect with me directly, that's a way for them to get connected, right? But that's just one arm. The other arm is reusing this content and helping people. Okay, you did a 30-minute conversation or interview or conversation. You can split that up and create reels, which I know that you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So those are the different ways that you can utilize that. It's omni-channel because then you can put it on your website as a blog post to say, okay, I was featured on this particular show and these are the things that I talked about. Then you can send that same thing in an email to your email list and say, and I know that you use email marketing a lot, which is amazing, right? You can send it out to your email list and say, hey, so the same thing that the host does to grow their show, you can now do that at scale with, a ton of different podcasts.
So, so then now we're talking about helping small business owners. Most of them, they use social media, so they need to think differently now, a transition from going from just social media to doing this. So what are the initial steps that they should be taking in order to do that?
The first thing that you need to understand is what you offer and who you're actually wanting to offer it to. Because it's not, I don't believe in a spray and pray approach in any kind of marketing, right? Even when you're testing, you need to be testing with intention. So if you are a small business owner and you already know, hey, I sell this service to these people ideally. Yes, I can serve other people. This is my ideal. Now you go and you look, what podcasts are actually now already serving this audience
Mhm.
where their main, audience members are in this category. Then
Mhm.
you either create your pitch, both the letter or AKA email that goes out. For us, we take it another step and we actually send out a bio, which you received as well, the little bio kit. It makes it easier. You can kind of
Oh,
like,
it's super easy when you have a bio and you are interviewing someone. So yes, go ahead and do that.
please, pulling all that together, and then you start sending out your pitches. I would strongly suggest that people also listen to some of these interviews,
Mhm.
some of these podcasts before you start to pitch, for several different reasons. I really liked your interview style. It's very conversational. That's how I like to be interviewed, and that's how I am on my own podcast. And so that makes it easier. And I knew, okay, great. I know the audience of small business owners. I serve small business owners. I know this
Mhm.
person, from what I've seen from the guests, has really reputable guests on there. So she's serious about her stuff. And in your response to my first initial, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good conversation, right? And then we got on and it was great. So you really have to do a lot of research beforehand before you even send out the pitch.
Mhm.
And so I think that would be the first one, is just understanding your own business and then creating a pitch that is not a sales pitch. You're not selling yourself, you're selling what you can offer the podcast hosts for their audience, right?
Mhm.
Because a good host is thinking about, what does my audience need? And you want to answer
Exactly.
that question when you are the guest. You want to answer that question. And so for us, we do it for our clients and we do it for ourselves. We put like 2 or 3 bullet points of like, hey, this is what I would love to talk about that I think your audience would actually really like, but it's not from a place of like, I have, 15 years or whatever. I put that in there too, but that's not in the point. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about your
Mhm.
credentials. They want to understand and know what your opinions are. What are your unique perspectives that's going to be a little bit different, right? This is the content without borders thing, which is what
Yes.
initially was like, oh, I think I want to hear more about that. What does that include?
Yes.
Right? That's where the one point of your pitch is to get the host or the producer interested enough to say, tell me more. Right?
Mm.
So that's the first step, or first few steps.
And also like the benefits of having your podcast or even going being a guest on someone else's podcast. How tell us more how that impacts your brand or the business brand or the business brand.
Um, there are so many different ways.
Oh, it's amazing.
It is. I have literally had one person, I remember, and she actually became a client. She had already made the decision before she got to our discovery meeting. It was an in-person sales call meeting, and she's like, "Yeah, I read. It was some magazine feature that I was in. She's like, I listened to your podcast interview that you had with so and so, and I'm already sold. What like I know what you guys offer. You can tell me more, but like, let's go." And that was, you cut the whole know, like, and trust process, which is what we always talk
Mhm.
about that people need in order to make a decision. You cut that entire process in half, and sometimes even less than that, because you're giving so much more, where people can, instead of the social media where it's just like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, when someone sits with you for 45 minutes and they're listening to you, they're hearing your stories, they're hearing what you're capable of doing, they start to imagine themselves working with
Mhm.
you, they imagine what it could be like. It makes it easier. It also makes it easier for content marketing, because instead of you having to sit there like, okay, what am I talk about today? If you did 3 interviews that just launched, you have like 2 months worth of content. And I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about, again, social media. You really have to, if you're listening to this, start thinking about your marketing beyond just social media. It is imperative that you do this because things are shifting. They've already started to shift. but you're going to see even more in the next few years. There is going to be more of this anti-social media movement. People are going to start tuning out from like buying decisions on social media. They're going to be looking for other ways, right? You have to, as a business owner, start to think about the different channels that you want to be present on. Podcast is a perfect way to be present on multiple channels without even trying. It's like an
Yeah.
automatic, hey, especially if you're on video, YouTube is now in play, right?
Big time. I mean, I record the podcast and you go straight to YouTube. So then people want to see your face too when you are on the podcast. So even though
Yeah,
you can listen to it, people want to see, who you are. What do you look
exactly.
like? I mean, I can hear you all the time on the podcast. So this is a good way
Yeah.
also to build your brand big time.
Yes, for sure. So it's one, it's the no like and trust factor being split in half or less. The other is the content piece. And third, long term, think about if you're wanting to be a speaker or you're already a speaker and wanting to get higher paid, etc., you can use this as a training ground for all of that. You can
Mm-hmm.
use it to refine your message. You can use it to get your message out there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can use this as a way to create a speaker reel if you haven't been in rooms with hundreds of people to show, oh my God, I've been speaking and doing all the things. You can literally use podcasts to show your skills, to show what you offer in a way that you're not able to do in shorter form um,
Mm-hmm.
pieces of content. So it's a huge, huge, huge plus. I've had people who have gotten panel um, offers to speak on panels because of podcast interviews they've had. I've had a traditional media source reach out to me to say, "Hey, we want to feature you," um, and I didn't pitch it, and they
Yeah,
saw
it went straight because they saw you, they knew, they
I'll be
watch
put
you,
on
they
video.
trust you.
Exactly. So all of those things, I have, I mean, a million anecdotes for how this has helped people. I cannot speak highly enough of both podcasting as like you being the host,
Mm-hmm.
and also guesting. It's just,
And what about people like, I'm sure like if whatever small business owner is listening that doesn't have a podcast or hasn't been in any podcast, then I'm sure they're nervous about it. It's like, I don't know what kind of content, what do I say? Do you help with that? Like help them a little bit
oh,
to
thousand
bring
percent,
down those nerves and also get more organized on the pitch and the story?
1,000%. So one of the things that I love to do is really show people that will come to ask me like, I don't have anything to say. I don't know that I would have enough to say for 30 minutes, for 45 minutes. Like, what do I even say? I said, how did you get to where you're at? The same question you asked me the first one. How did you get here? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to think about your life. We
Mm-hmm.
all have been through some stuff. We all,
Many things. You can talk
you
about so many
know
things.
what I mean? And what we don't realize is like those are where the gems are. Those are the things that people want to hear. Nobody like, okay, we all have this idea of this polished brand that we have to present on social media because that's what we've been taught that needs to be presented, right? These brand photos that have been retouched, stories that we curated perfectly, whatever. Meanwhile, what your audience really wants to hear is like how many times you screwed up and
The
how
real
those
you.
screw up, yeah, how many times have you screwed up and how those screw ups actually like helped you become the kind of person that you are today. That's the
Yeah.
stuff that people connect to because we've all had to go through our own journeys. And so I would challenge anyone who's listening right now, if you are, and it's funny, I had a workshop yesterday and someone literally said that exact same thing of like, I don't have enough to, and mind you, this is a physical therapist. She is a doctor of physical therapy who's like, I don't have any to talk. Or like, you made it through med school. You went through some stuff, right? Even that is a thing that you can go on, you know, and talk about because people are going to have questions of like, what do I do the first year? How do I
Yeah, I
say?
remember when I was interviewed the first time, it was 3 years ago when I was literally just starting my business. And I was like, okay, we'll see how this comes
Yeah.
out because it's like what I'm going to talk. And sure enough, it was about my journey. I mean, you know, I wasn't born yesterday, so there's so
And
much to
thank
talk.
you.
So,
Yeah, there's so much. So I would say sit down and write three things that you've been through in your life that you feel were transformative, not compared to other people, not that it would be this, oh my God. It's not about struggling. You didn't have to be homeless. You didn't have to go, it doesn't have to
mhm,
be that. We all have our stories. It could be that your life was really quote unquote perfect, but inside you were miserable.
right.
Because if
Yep.
someone saw me during my time at the agency, they probably thought like, "Oh my gosh, she's making multiple six figures. She has all of these people working for her. Oh my God." Meanwhile,
Yep.
I'm
You got
over
your own
here
story.
struggling with all kinds. You know what I mean? Like, so there's
Yeah.
so much. Sit down and write those three things and challenge yourself to kind of think about your story in a way that is like romantic, not romantic in like it's all good, but romantic in like that it's worth you even getting a movie made about your life because that we are that important. Everyone is that significant. And so nothing that you have gone through is wasted. It all kind of made you who you are. And if
Mhm,
you're able to harness that in any way, you're able to have a conversation. I
mhm.
teach you how to kind of blend that in with your business. And so conversations like these, you're still getting to know me as a person. You're hearing my personality, but you also know what I do
Right.
and how I
Exactly.
do it. Yeah, and it's a skill and it's things that you learn and you practice and you
Mhm.
practice and you practice, and eventually you get it.
It comes like natural.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so remind the audience again, you mentioned you had a resource that that could help them. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So it's pretty much exactly like what we were talking about before, where it's podcast guesting 101. It is
Mm-hmm.
walking you through how to prepare, how to pitch, and then also how to position yourself as an expert while going through a podcast process. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, for folks that do quote unquote what I do, they'll focus on the pitching part, how to get on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But the preparing piece, like, hey, make sure that you close out all of your browser windows so that your stuff isn't lagging. Make sure, and we had a snafu earlier, that your mics and all the tech and stuff is tested and you know what you're doing so that you can actually sound the way that you want to sound. Make sure that there's lighting. There's lighting right now because I'm chocolate. You're going to make sure that you look the way that you want to look when you show up on the
Mm-hmm.
show. These are small things that people don't think about. We actually have a list of different tech that you can use and some suggestions for people on what to do with that. There is actually a checklist of how to prepare your LinkedIn bio for when you're going to be kind of looked at. The host might look at your LinkedIn more than likely. And then whoever is going to look you up and think about hiring you or connecting with you, they're going to look at your LinkedIn. And if you are this fantastic, like, oh my God, person on the podcast and they go on your LinkedIn and it's not gelling, then you've just introduced friction into the
Mm-hmm.
process, right? And so we basically give you this guide to walk you through the entire process. And by the time you're done, if you're really working with this guide, and I check in every so often as well. Anyone who gets the guide, you get a check in from me to say, hey, how's it going? What do you need? Like, what have you ran into? Like, so that we can kind of talk through it. It's a fantastic resource. It's something that I wish I had when I started because I was just winging it. But yeah, it from soup to nuts, it's everything that you'd need to just get started.
Well, it sounds fantastic. So I'm sure I'm going to get the resource as well now that we're talking. Be more specific even when I do my own, not just my own shows, but when I go
On the,
guesting as
yeah,
well. Yes,
100%.
absolutely. Yes. Well, anything else, Carole, that you want to share with the audience? I know this has been fantastic. You share so much knowledge and it's been a pleasure having you. But anything else that you think that the audience might need to know before we finish the show?
So the biggest thing that I want everyone to know here and take away, and it's the thing that I feel so passionate about, is social media was created as a way to connect with people, but it has grown into a business that is about attention for the actual platforms themselves. And
Yeah.
they've gone away from organic content being really anything other than just like fodder on there. If you're not paying for ads, it's kind of just there. You
Hmm.
cannot sit and focus all of your marketing energy. I'm not saying to not use it at all. You will find me on social media. Make sure that however you're marketing your business, that you are using all of the tools that are available to you. We talked about podcasting today. Obviously, that's my jam. That's Mariana's jam. Um, but there's so many other things. And you have a fantastic coach in your host who helps with a whole bunch of things. Doesn't matter what you choose, just make sure that you're not just sitting on social media. You've seen Facebook and Instagram go down.
Oh,
And
yeah, you have to have other ways of
yeah,
communicating and marketing your
yes,
business for sure. I mean, you will use what you learn, what you have from your podcast to put in social media. We talked about that initially in the beginning of the show, but yeah, for sure, you can't just rely on social media
yeah.
platforms.
If I could say one thing, that would be it. It's like find some other ways and build your email list. Build your
Yeah,
email list. Build your email list. That's what
that's the
you own.
number one thing
That's
when
what
you
you
start
own.
with, oh my gosh, big
Yes.
time.
Yes. So for
And
sure.
having having your show or going into other people's shows, that builds your email list. So that's part of the
That's the
strategy.
reason why it's so powerful. That's why I decided to stick here. Like I mentioned, if that's your whole thing about getting leads, you need to be doing a podcast. But definitely email list building is, I mean, there's zero things above that in my brain when it comes to
Yeah,
marketing.
absolutely. Well, thank you, Carrolee. It's been amazing having you on the show. Thank you for all the insights. Um, Before we wrap up, where people can find you?
After I just like talk about
Everywhere.
social media, I was like, yeah, social
So we will put the
media.
stuff in the show notes. So, because I know she's gonna give us a
Yes.
long list of
The,
places.
right. The two places that you can find me a lot more often would be LinkedIn and Facebook, and it's at Carrolee Moore. Um, and for me, my website, you'll find a whole bunch of resources on there. I'm also starting a community in Q1. And so if you want to learn more about how to actually build your expertise, et cetera, through podcast guesting, and you want to do that in community, please follow me and keep up with that. Waitlist will be open in next couple of weeks. So it's also exciting about that.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in. We will add again all the details about Carrolee in the show notes. For those that really love the show, please, leave a review. Let us know what you like. What would you like to, learn more about this topic, because we both love podcasting. So
Yeah,
it's like a passion of us, plus also helps a lot with your business. So.
yeah, for
Well,
sure.
thank you so much, Carrolee. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mariana.
All right. See you next time.